Good people, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football. I am one of your post-game hosts, Desmond. I am here with my partner, Dre. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. Share the video out to social media. We greatly appreciate it. We are trying to be the number one team when it comes to the Voice of College Football and Mark Rogers Network. Also, subscribe to Mark's main channel, The Voice of College Football, and also join his Discord where you can talk not only college football, but also NFL football 24/7, 365. Thanks so much again for joining us. Dre, how's it going, my friend?
Good, good. Football's officially back. We've kicked off. We're now starting, well, technically, week two. And also the NFL was starting off this week, well, Thursday. So we're football's in full swing, It's good to have it back.
There's nothing better than football season. I'll just
Oh,
say
yeah.
that. There's nothing better
But
than as much as I love the summer.
right,
Football
right,
season.
exactly. It also, signals the end of the summer, but I actually really enjoy this time of the year. The weather's still actually really nice, so just try to make the most of it.
Yeah, you do what you can. Do what you can. That's about it. So yeah, I mean, Michigan, week one they had a pretty big win, 51-7. Beat. Goodness gracious, why am I blanking on the team? Colorado State.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind. Yeah, so wins 51-7, Colorado State. This week they've got Hawaii, and it looks like I know how I feel about that game, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit as well. But you wanted to kick. Well, first and foremost, so we got to get.
You saw that? That's why I started smiling.
So that's actually what threw me off. I read that and I was
like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yes, we did. So number one, let's those media. Thanks again for tuning in. Yes, we did golf so no, it'd be 2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago, yeah, 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah, 2 Sundays ago. We were both pretty bad, pretty darn bad.
To say the worst, to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, we were both pretty bad. In the few holes that we played that we kept score, I did win. But it actually was pretty close. I mean, I think it was like maybe a stroke. But I mean, we're talking the last 4 holes, I think we said like, all right, no, here's how bad we are. We're like, okay, listen, these last 4 holes, no re-hits, like you just gotta go wherever your ball lands, you gotta live with that.
Right.
So that's how bad we
are.
We
actually have to count the hole. Yeah, we have to actually think the hole. That's
every stroke counts. Every stroke counts from here on out. So that's how bad our golf game is. But we actually have a tee time set for this upcoming Sunday. So next week, Wednesday, we'll have an update next week if Dre wins. If Dre doesn't win, he likes to delay that for as long as possible in any kind of activity that we do.
I was hoping not to bring that up, but
I'm shocked. Let's Those Media even remembered. I totally forgot about that. Like
I tried to put that like in the forgotten category, but whatever, it's okay.
Yes. So yeah, we've got folks tuning in from all over. We got Virginia, Michigan fan in Nebraska, Pentwater, Michigan, Go Blue from Kansas City, Orlando, all over.
That's a Buckeye, but I respect it. He's always here. Florida Buckeyes always here, so it's all love, and we're going to get to you shortly.
Yes. So actually, perfect segue into kind of the new segment that you wanted to start to do, and I'll just kick it off to you and let you kind of explain it.
Yeah, I mean, and so. As a lot of you guys may know, I know one thing the football Michigan did last year, and I'm sure they're doing this year as well, is that in preparation for Ohio State, every week they had like a Ohio State drill that they would do, in which they would dedicate a certain amount of time purely to Ohio State, no matter who their opponent is, because that's the must of the season. We have to beat Ohio State, so no matter what we're doing this upcoming week, we're going to spend at least some time seeing what that team in Columbus is doing. And I think we should do the same, because I think, going to the season, my perception of both teams were that, we were clearly 1 and 2 in terms of the best 2 teams in the conference. And once again, we're on a collision course to decide who's going to get to the Big Ten title game this year, and therefore probably win the Big Ten, because I don't think anybody in the West, especially seeing Iowa this past Saturday, is anywhere close to be able to stop us once we get to the Big Ten title game. So we're going to dedicate a certain amount of time every week into what we see from Ohio State and how is that relevant to Michigan. So Ohio State played Notre Dame this past weekend, and of course, Michigan took care of their business versus Colorado State, and we're going to recap that as well. But after the Michigan Colorado State game, Michigan took care of their business. I tuned into the Ohio State Notre Dame game because, for one, Ohio State is a direct rival. We have to beat them. Like as I said, we're on a collision course. But also, you never know. Notre Dame is probably going to be someone we're competing for a playoff spot either way. Maybe Ohio State's the only loss that Michigan has this year, right? And we're trying to battle with Notre Dame for that fourth spot. So we have to see how they look and see if they're going to be one of those teams that's going to give us a run for our money there. Either way, it was relevant. So I watched the game Saturday, like a lot of you probably did, and I think the positive note I took for Michigan is that I was not 100% convinced that Ohio State fixed their rush defense. Now they did a decent job. They only allowed 10 points for Notre Dame, but I didn't get the feeling that, especially early on, that they could stop Notre Dame physicality up front. I felt like when Notre Dame wanted to run the football, and Ohio State was playing out their base defense, they could. Now, the adjustment that Ohio State made was that they started to bring safeties into the box, both safeties into the box. And unfortunately, Notre Dame was able to counter with their weapons on the outside, besides their tight end number 87. I can't remember the guy's name. And that allowed them to hold Notre Dame to 10 points. But for Michigan, what I think is really a positive for Michigan is that I believe we are a lot more dynamic and versatile offensively. And I didn't come away from that game with the perception that, Ohio State can stop us this year compared to what they did last year. I still believe that as of now, when we line up on a football field, that Michigan should dominate the line of scrimmage. Our offensive line should beat their defensive line. We should be able to run the football at will. And if they do decide to load the box as an adjustment with us, we do have the weapons on the outside with Rodney Bell, Cornelius Johnson, Eric All, guys like that to be able to, and I believe JJ or Cade will be able to take advantage and do a better job than Notre Dame did. So I felt pretty good. We all know what Ohio State's offense can be. They lost Smith and Jigma early on, so of course that's going to be a factor. I think he'll be back, and we should see him later this year. And we know they're going to be lethal, but I still think the formula that Michigan had last year versus Ohio State, which was dominate the line of scrimmage, run a football at will, control the time of possession, and limit Ohio State explosive plays on offense, is still a recipe that they can explore this year. So I still feel pretty good about Michigan's chances going to Columbus. I was not displeased.
Yeah, and I think sometimes with offense in general of where college football is today, a lot of it is high flying and the elite passing offenses. And sometimes what gets lost is the O-line play. And I would make the argument that no matter what type of offense you run, you need good to great offensive line play. And I think that Michigan has that, and it's something that they will continue to build on. To me, overall, Ohio State looked improved, but I still think that Michigan would have the edge when it comes to the line of scrimmage on both sides. CJ Stroud looked a little bit off and maybe it was kind of first game jitters of being back, or maybe it's Heisman Trophy talk and pressure. Just a lot of different things could factor into it. Now, obviously, they're not playing this week or anything like that. There's a lot of time for him, that offense, that defense, that entire team to improve before they square off against Michigan. And same thing for Michigan as well. But I think I would probably would probably number one agree with what you're saying, but I think one part of the Ohio State strategy, it was them continuously focusing on running the football. And if you look at Ohio State's losses under in the Ryan Day era, a lot of it has been him being a little bit pass happy as far as his play calling and not sticking to the run game, because you could make an argument he's had really good running backs ever since he's been the head coach there. And a lot of times you just see like just the pass happy him, I think it's understandable because it's quicker to score that way, and you've had pretty good quarterbacks, but I think him showing that growth as a head coach of understanding the flow of the game, understanding your advantage and where you can be better, and also too your quarterback not being on his game, right? That wasn't a CJ Stroud against Michigan State where he couldn't miss, or the Rose Bowl game where he was just absolutely dialed in.
There's part that you have to give credit to Notre Dame. I thought that Marcus Freeman came into the game with a very sound strategy. And I thought Kirk Herbstreit made a really good point. I think it's a strategy that a lot of teams are going to implement versus Ohio State this year. Look, there's no way getting around it. They're going to have one of the most explosive offenses in the country, if not the most explosive offense. They just have way too much talent at every position. At a receiver, running back, and their quarterback is going to be drafted in the top 3 in 2023 NFL draft. Okay, he may even win a Heisman. So they're going to score their points. But to limit the amount of points they do score is that you're going to probably play 2 safeties back and try to keep everything in front of you. Everything in front of you. And, and make sure, look, CJ's going to find his guys if he's patient enough. But when he does find somebody, make sure you run up and you tackle soundly. And if they are going to score, that you make them use as much time as possible. And maybe at times you can catch CJ being a little bit greedy, and he tries to force 1 or 2, and maybe you can get him to make a turnover. And I think that's just going to be the strategy in most weeks, unless you have a really good pass rush, like Michigan had last year. I'm not sure they're going to necessarily have that this year. We will see. Definitely some positive signs for Colorado State and some guys that look like they're going to be able to make an impact there. But assuming that our pass rush is not quite as effective this year, then yeah, we're going to probably have to do the same thing in terms of playing 2 safeties back. And I still feel pretty good about Michigan's chances. And once again, guys, the point of this segment, if you're not understanding why we're talking about Ohio State, is because we know that Michigan is really good. We know that we are 1 or 2 with Ohio State in terms of the best teams in this conference. So we are on this collision course. So it is imperative for us to focus on what they are doing. We have to acknowledge their existence. They're coming. And so are we. And they know we're coming too. So that's why we're once again diving into this, just to see what that team down in Columbus is doing. And they look good. For you Ohio State fans that are here every week, we appreciate you. I'm not saying you guys didn't look good. I'm not saying that you're going to only score 21 points every week. That's a little bit of an anomaly. However, I will say that there is a formula defensively to try to limit your explosive scoring. You guys going to have to figure out a way, and maybe it's probably running the football more. I mean, I felt like Travion Henderson didn't even play that much. That's what it seemed like. And Williams got the bulk of the carries. I have to go back and look at the box score to see the carry breakdown. But that's another guy that came out of nowhere for them. That he's like, man, he runs angry. That's a power running back. Travion Henderson is more of a home run hitter. Yeah, that's going to be a problem for Michigan and other teams this year. If Ohio State has found their own 1-2 combo that they can hit you over the head with. Because if Ryan Day has learned anything from last year, is that sometimes when the pass game is not there, because teams don't want you to beat them that way, then you do have to run the football and feed your guys in the backfield. And if that's the case, you're going to do exactly what Notre Dame did at a certain point in the game. They got burnt as soon as they did it. It was a point in time, I think it was 14-10, or maybe it was 10-7. And Ohio State's driving, and eventually they brought the house. They brought safeties on the blitz. And as soon as they did that, CJ found Johnson for a touchdown. So, and he made them pay. So, yeah, that's a problem. So if Ryan Day has learned his lesson, and he's going to be a lot more balanced this year, pretty much taking what the defense gives him. And we now know that, we knew that Travion Henderson was legit, but now they have another really good back in Williams. That's a problem for us. So, we'll see. But I feel really good about Michigan's chances still going down C-Bus. I still believe this team has what it takes. Even though I greatly respect what Ohio State is, and I think they are dangerous everywhere, I still think Michigan, there's a formula for Michigan to win that game.
What an interesting change of just discussion from what you just said today, where you're talking Michigan's really good and it's going to come down to the last game, to where we were last year after game one. Like it's crazy when you really think about the difference.
That's when people who just don't seem to get me or us is that, and I think I said this during the post game show. If you want me to give you respect, and to trust you, then you have to earn my trust. You have to earn my respect, that you can go out and do things that you haven't done up to that point, right? Up to that point, that season, Harbaugh and this Michigan team under him has struggled to win ranked games on the road. We struggled to win at Wisconsin, and we did it eventually that year. But I wasn't going to go until we did it. I wasn't going to go into the game and say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do this. No, I had my doubts. I had my fears because historically, this team has always struggled in that situation. We've been getting destroyed by Ohio State. So why in the world would I go and expect, yeah, we're going to win? This is the year, right? Unless I was doing it blindly. But because of last year, this team has shown that they were able to conquer some of those demons and therefore earned that trust. And I know they can do it. Now I can, even more so, I can take the evidence that I see on the field and I can have a little trust based on what I've seen recently that, okay, this is possible. That window is definitely there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this will be a good segment to do every week. So I like that. You had a great idea with that. So I'll definitely give you all the kudos there. So we've got Hawaii coming up this week. This is going to be the JJ start. Obviously preseason, before the first game, Harbaugh mentioned the statement was released that Cade's going to start game one, JJ start game two. How do you see the Hawaii game going and JJ start, essentially? Like, how do you see all of that going down and happening?
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, it's such a lopsided matchup. I mean, this matchup is even more lopsided than the Colorado State game. And so, yeah, Michigan's going to win by a lot. And they're going to probably get to that huge
the spread. Score. I think it was like 51 and a half or something.
Yeah, it's going to get out of hand pretty quickly.
Just wild.
So I think this is going to be another one of those games where you see, your second and third string guys, touch the field. I'm not sure that JJ is going to play the full game. We might even see Cade get back in there, very similar to the way that JJ got some snaps last week. So
real quick, so maybe I misunderstood. I was not planning to see JJ.
Yeah, I wasn't either. But apparently that was the plan all along for him to get some snaps. But but regardless of the point, like if that is the case, then maybe Cade gets some snaps this upcoming week. I haven't heard that he will, but I don't see why not. If you're going to let JJ get in the mix like you did last week, then allow Cade to get back in the mix too. And that either way, no matter who's out there, I think they're both going to do well. Partly due to, for one, I think they're both good at the very, very minimum. And I just know Hawaii is also that bad too. So it's going to be one of those blowout type of games that just doesn't really. It's not going to be very fun after a while, entertaining to look at. However, it will be some juice. It still is at night. It is JJ's first official start. It could be the jumping off point of a magical career at the University of Michigan. From a best case scenario, is this the jumping off point where we see something special here, and it's exciting. I wish the opponent was just a little bit more quality. I definitely don't want to sweat the game out, but I do wish it was a little bit more.
You don't want to sweat any games out.
Right. I just said that. I don't want to sweat the game out, but I do wish it was a little bit more of a quality opponent. I do. Just from a standpoint, like, man, JJ played great. The team looked really good, and the opponent wasn't just absolute trash. They were okay. You know what I'm saying? You know
Yeah,
that would
you
have
got
been.
time. You got
I
time.
know, I know. It's just, but still, it's going to be I think, a very festive atmosphere.
Do you think that JJ is going to overtake the starting QB job after this game and moving forward?
It sure feels like that's where the momentum is going, Des. I did see, JJ said something interesting in his meeting with the press this week. He was asked a question about him and Kate McNamara's relationship, and he said that him and Kate joked that the media is just he swears to media that they swear the media just wants them to hate each other, but they don't. And look, is there a part of that? Could he be saving face? Look, both those kids are professionals, man. I love the way they carry themselves. Um, they really could be at odds, and maybe they just say things to save face in front of the media, or maybe they really do like, hey, we just want to win and we want to compete. That's also just as possible too. We don't know. We're not behind those closed doors, but um, I think it's interesting. I love the things he said. He said he feels like you know, he's ready to lead this football team to wins. That this is what he came here for. He said all the right things. He has the presence. He has the ability. Now it's just like, can he put it all together? I think this kid checks a lot of the boxes, man, and I'm rooting for him not only because he's plays for my school, but I truly do believe he has all the intangibles to be special. I think he cares too, and I think Michigan's very fortunate there. Like, they have two quarterbacks, I think, that are leaders, that truly care about the university, that want to be successful individually, but really want the team to be successful. And I'm excited from that standpoint. And I think, based on the quality opponent they have this week, JJ's going to look naturally very, very, very good. Even though it's Hawaii, I still want him to get down on some of these runs that he does. I sent you a screenshot in which Harbaugh even noted that himself. I said that last week to you, even on a phone call to you. Like, look, man, I love that you're using your legs and stuff like that, but son, you got to get down. Like, you don't have to get every extra 1 or 2 or 3 yards all the time. You have to watch yourself and get down, because it only takes one play, one freak. Case in point, you guys remember, Dak Prescott, it hurt his leg a couple years ago. Him running towards the sideline, trying to turn the corner. I believe the corner for the Bills was right behind. I watched that game live. I was actually talking to Desmond. And
I remember watching that.
yeah, and
Yikes.
it was a freak play,
I think it was
like
the Giants they were playing.
maybe it was the Giants. It was just a
Yeah.
freak play, and the guy in the corner was like slightly behind him and tried to grab him, and he ended up getting him slightly on the back of a shoulder pass that pulled him backwards, and Dak's foot just got caught. Like, those type of things just happen when you run the football. So you got to get down and protect yourself, because we need you, and it's a long season.
Did you happen to see any clips of Cade in the post game?
Yes.
How did you feel his body language and just kind of how he was just talking to the media? Did anything like strike you?
Well,
Like,
once again, I thought he was being a professional as best he could, handling, quite frankly, some tough questions, because he's kind of in a no-win scenario, right? Because, look, all the momentum around him is about JJ, right? Like, and he can act like he doesn't realize. They hear it. They hear the noise. They
oh
hear the
yeah,
noise on
they're
social media.
what 20 something years,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
18,
They hear
19,
the
20.
noise.
They live on social media.
Right. They hear
Yes.
the noise on social media. They heard the crowd's reactions. Like, he knows what's going on, what's around him. And yeah, I mean, he did. He was the starting quarterback for the team that had really good success last year. And apparently, he said he had his best camp. And I think, if you watch the game closely, he did struggle earlier on the game. He looked like he was playing a little tight. And I think what I saw in that press conference was a guy who is frustrated with the situation. Um, but he's trying to make the best of it and to be a professional through it as best he can. But it's only human nature based on where he is. I mean, can you blame him? I mean, he's done in terms of starting and have his team win. He's done everything he's been asked to do. Like it's not like Michigan had national title aspirations last year, right? And he was the reason why they didn't get that. No, they exceeded expectations last year, right? And he played a part in that by doing his job. He didn't play spectacular, but he made the throws he needed to make at times throughout the season, and he was steady Eddie throughout the year, right? And so, from his standpoint, I can understand him being quote unquote a little salty about where things are going because like Ed just said, JJ had JJ's well, he said has a prettier girlfriend, but like I think JJ is like the prettier girlfriend in this kind of analogy. People just want JJ, even though he's done everything right. He's given everything he can give, and it doesn't seem to be enough. So I think he's frustrated and he's trying to make the best of a situation. That's what I took from it.
Yeah, you could definitely see the frustration, and I agree with Chris Hicks on Cade was salty after. I don't know about salty, but salty after the game because the writing is on the wall, and I truly feel that way that the writing is on the wall. And he just did it. That did not look like a quarterback who just started a game where his team won 51-7. Like
Right.
it didn't look like that. And part of it to me, like K, like yes, like you mentioned, he's done everything right, but at the same time too, you're also in this position because you have when the chips are all in, and specifically when we're talking about this year in camp and game one. Like I just pulled up his numbers. Like I knew he was about 50%, but even like, and I know QBR is something mainly we talk about in the NFL, but Dre, he had a QBR of 39.7, like against
No,
Colorado State.
he wasn't good.
That's
He wasn't
not
good.
like that's not good. Like that's not
He
how
was pressing,
you
man.
take the
He
reins
was
on
pressing,
this
dude.
job.
He was pressing. It was
Hmm.
early. If you really watched the kid, you could tell he was pressing. I mean, off the first drive, man, he was. They called him on the sideline. They called him on the field. He snapped off his helmet because he missed a couple throws through behind guys. He was just off throws that he made easy last year. He just didn't look sharp, and it's only human nature. And I texted to you, Des, like he was pressing. He sees that somebody's right, like GOJ said, someone's right over the shoulder. He showed a natural, basic human nature when you're under pressure because you feel the writing on the wall. You feel that speeding train coming towards your way. Um, so, look, man, I think he's just in a tough position. I think a lot of kids in his seat would do the same thing. It would look very
Hmm.
similar.
Yeah.
Like look, you're competing. You've done everything you can do. You started for this team. You came through for this team when they needed you. And now you're in a situation where your job is on a line, and it's being like a lot of us are like that in life. Now, a lot of us don't have people right behind us who are looking to take our job necessarily, but when life is, we have a lot of pressure on us. It wears, and you get to see it, right? So it's only human nature what he's exhibiting at this time, uh, because look, let's be honest, especially after starting all last year, he doesn't want to. Of course, he wants to win and he wants to have another Big Ten title, but he doesn't want to go from playing all last year to now being the guy off the bench. Of course not. He wants to keep his starting job. He wants to like be with the number ones. So and then let's be honest, they're not going to have a cake package. When JJ takes over, right? It's not going to be they're going to be mixing Cade in for certain type of situations. It's going to be the JJ show, and Cade will probably only get in if the games are getting out of hand, and then they want to keep JJ safe, right? And throw Cade in there. He'll play the garbage minutes, but um, so it's unfortunate for him, man. But I
And
think he's doing the best he can.
it's something that I thought about earlier today was we brought up the Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence situation, the Tua Jalen Hurts, but really those situations are the exceptions to the rule. You know what I mean? Like we talk about it as if that happens all the time. It
Hmm.
really doesn't. Like those are the exceptions. Most times the guy who is coming back is the guy who was starting and moving forward. So we just, we brought those situations up because it has happened before, but nonetheless, that's not the norm. Like it's something that is unique. And also too, I think Antoine just mentioned it. If Cade transfers, I think I would love to have him.
Oh,
I
dude.
absolutely agree.
Oh, he'll be
1000%.
a great fit. They would look, man.
They would love to have
Corey
Cade.
will be
Love
popping
it.
champagne if they got Cade McNamara. Lord have mercy. Did you guys see this past weekend? You don't
Oh
score versus
my
South Dakota
word.
State. You don't score a offensive touchdown. You your scoring output is a field goal and 2 safeties for South Dakota State for a team that just went to the Big Ten title game. Okay, well, yeah,
That was ugly. That was
yeah.
ugly.
Look, and
But
I said this too, and Des. I mean, how many times have I said this? And for Michigan fans who are ready for Cade to kick Cade out the door, there are plenty
all right,
of
let's not. We don't have to say it like that.
yeah, but
For Cade, if Cade decides to transfer, we're not kicking
he would have
anybody out the
plenty of
door.
suitors. He would have plenty of suitors
Yes, he would.
for legitimate programs. He doesn't. He will not have to go play for, a 1AA team to get a starting position. There will be plenty of legitimate opportunities for that kid to play and have a chance to play for something legitimate. I think that even though he's not the best quarterback at Michigan anymore, I still think that he's still what I'll say Cade's a top 10 quarterback in the conference.
Yeah,
Like
in the conference, yeah, I think
so if
so.
that's the case, dude, there's other jobs in this conference, case in point, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, where he could start right away. And I think you can see that. I think he fits a lot of those programs' identity. So there's a chance that if Cade walks out that door, that we could see him against us one day. And
I mean, I know Graham Mertz did that freshman year he had was really good, but last year wasn't great for him, at least not early. I think he came on a little later, but GOJ puts Iowa would love anybody in this chat. I actually do think that that Cade would perform well at Iowa. Like I think a big part of Iowa's issues is their OC. Like Brian Ferentz is atrocious.
yeah.
And then if there's one thing I can't stand is coaches who just try to pawn off stuff to the players and he didn't go, he wasn't the Scott Frost. The offensive staff needs to be more creative, but to sit in a press conference or media session and say that, well, there were throws there, the quarterback should like dude, just own it. You're a bad OC. Like you are a bad OC.
Dude,
Just
you
own
don't
that.
score offensive
Just own
touchdown
it.
about South Dakota State.
Just own it.
Everybody is under fire. Okay, there ain't nobody that can avoid
It
that.
should be Kirk Ferentz as well. You
Yeah,
need to be under fire
everybody.
too because you made
Everybody.
the decision to have your son as the OC, and he's
Yes,
been bad since he's been the OC.
dude. Like literally, there should be booze for that offense. Like actually, for what they did. I mean, that is criminal for, especially that being a national televised game. You talking about, oh my god, like 21 punts in that game, Desmond, between both teams. 21 punts.
Oh,
Insane.
that is
Insane. So no, the point is, yeah, I mean, look, we're joking, but no, I mean, I think there's legitimate chance, and Adrian, your thing about, Cade, our offensive talent helping Cade. Sure, there's an element of that, but I think at the end of the day is that I think you're underestimating. If you have a smart decision maker, a quote unquote game manager, a serviceable quarterback, that helps steady a lot for your offense. Now, no, you're not going to take your offense to another level. So, Cade, let's say in a hypothetical situation, if Cade went to Iowa, for example, he lost his job, and after this season, he decided to come back for his 5th year or whatever it was, and he goes to Iowa or something, right? No, he's not going to take their offense to a whole nother level, but he could be a steady Eddie decision maker. He would be an upgrade over what they have had. So, um, let's say they have a solid team like they had last year. Well, if you have a better quarterback than you had last year, then you should be able to win 9 or 10 games and get to the Big Ten title game from the West, right? Well, I think that's pretty successful if you're an Iowa fan. I'm not. I can't speak for them, but I'm just saying, you know.
Look at this comment from Ferris. Oh my word, that is
Look, man,
rough.
it was
That's
embarrassing.
rough. It was very rough.
It was
It
rough.
was.
It was for a weekend of, I think, exciting games. I mean, there are a couple fan bases that were taking Pepto Bismol after their game. Iowa fans, Oregon fans for sure. Um,
Yikes.
you talk about, like, can you imagine, or if you're an Oregon fan, you probably was so
LSU
hyped.
fans.
LSU
Yikes.
fans, but if you're an Oregon fan, you're probably so hyped, like, oh my god, of course you're a little upset that Mario Cristobal left, but still, you got like a nice addition in Lanning, and you feel pretty good about where your program is. You still like, hey, we still can win the Pac-12, and you go out there and you're like, hey, we're playing against national champions. Be a nice test for us, and that wasn't even a test. I mean, that was like, you writing your name on the paper, and like literally you might as well just balled it up and threw it in the garbage and took an F. Like that was I don't even know what to say. So look, I know this is a Michigan channel. Look, Michigan did their job, and we are in a way better position than a lot of other schools are, guys.
Absolutely.
So I think that's another thing when you kind of take a step back and you kind of look at how things have been going so far. Michigan is doing exactly what they need to do. There were a couple of injuries. I believe. Gosh, what is his name? Office. What? Oh, hold on, guys. Sorry, his name is drawing my blank. We lost one of our offensive linemen, sprained their ankle. Gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Sprained ankle. We have to talk about that. Sorry, guys. I apologize. I had the name earlier, but I lost it. Yes, Carson Barnhart. He twisted his ankle, so he's going to be out this week. It looks like Ryan Hayes will be back.
Yeah, looks like I saw the same thing on
So look,
247 Sports.
now the good thing is, fortunately for Michigan, they're not going to need Barnhart for Hawaii, and probably won't need him for Connecticut as well. Actually, I know they won't. So there's time for these guys to heal their injuries and get back and into the swing of things for when the schedule really starts to pick up. But look, and the reason why that's important to bring up is that, hey, that was week one, and we already have had a couple of injuries here. So I know some guys even suit up, but Barnhart did suit up. He got hurt in that Colorado State game. So Des asked me, hey, what's the one thing you want to see out these these cupcake games? I said the main thing is just health, keeping guys healthy, and Michigan's already down one guy, so definitely don't want to see that trend continue in terms of seeing one guy per week. I don't see any guys go down. So it looks like good. Hillgreen will be back, but still, we want the guys that have gotten hurt to heal up, because at a certain point, we will need them for higher quality opponents.
Agreed. And I wanted to address Wesley Holbert's comment, and thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the comment. He put, does JJ allow Michigan to beat OSU, Georgia, and Alabama?
Not Georgia and Alabama, especially Georgia.
I was going to say, and I would separate after the OSU. I think JJ
guys,
will have you to beat OSU, but Georgia looked like,
touch Georgia with a 10-foot pole. I'm keeping it real. I wouldn't want to touch Georgia with a 10-foot pole.
Not now.
Saturday. Not right now. Lord have mercy.
They look like they are on a mission. Woo! That they are just trying. I mean, they look like they're trying to hurt people. It's scary out there. It's scary. I mean, ask the Oregon Ducks. Yeah. Like, they were trying. Like, I know people's mothers were upset watching that. Like, that was that was something. That looks like a team that's just dialed in, ready to roll.
Ed, you can say Oregon was horrible. That's fine, but I guarantee you, Oregon is still a top 12, top 15 team. I'm pretty sure they are a top 12, top 15 team in the country. All right, they may not be 11, but they're okay. Fine, you want to go top 20, whatever. They still beat them. What was it, 49-3? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even that close. Okay, it was like, you don't beat high ranked teams like that.
Like that, right?
Like
you can beat them. 21-10. Like that's one where you're like, yeah, okay, like yeah, you won, but oh boy, not like that. 49-3, and
Yeah,
like
man.
you said, it wasn't that close. That is unique,
That
and
it was
that's something
disgusting.
different. I
It
mean
was
that Georgia team would probably come in second in the NFC North. Like probably
Oh
they
my,
would be.
oh, dude, the speed, the strength. Stetson Bennett looked had even more swag on Saturday. He was running,
Yeah,
he was making throws everywhere. I mean, my God. I mean, yeah, I don't want to touch Georgia with a 10-foot pole. Like, stay away from me. So
not now.
I want to omit that, Wesley, from that question because it's just I don't think it will matter. We can have,
Yeah,
yeah,
remove. So I think Ohio State. Yes, if you
yes.
play the way you've played, you should be
Bama,
good.
maybe. I still have to see more for Bama.
Yeah,
I still definitely think I put Bama. There's a gap, right? I think Ohio State, yes, but then you have Bama. You got to put a little gap here for Bama, and then
and then
definitely
Georgia
Georgia.
is they
So
have their own poll. Like
yeah,
Georgia is the GA poll. They're
because the
number one
problem,
there,
because
and
there's
then
bring up what you said, to me when I we talked about Georgia on over the phone is that dude, you brought up how Saban gets like essentially 10 first round picks every season
mhm.
and come into their program. It's just that, Wesley, to answer your question, the problem is that it goes way beyond the quarterback position when it comes to when you're matching up against a Georgia or an Alabama, because when you start breaking down position to position, they're so much more better than you are, and faster and quicker and stronger, that even if you have a difference maker at quarterback, it's hard, man. It's hard to keep up with that distance in other positions. And you saw how Oklahoma did with Baker Mayfield in the playoffs, before, So and I had to bring it up as a Heisman Trophy quarterback in a playoff. Like, just because you have that kind of caliber of a guy doesn't mean that you're ready to beat those bigger echelon teams. It takes a lot more than that. So definitely, JJ can help them beat Ohio State, but I'm not ready to see those other two yet.
Yeah, and I think Bama's got some plenty of work to do to show that they like. I think they had the benefit that they were the preseason number one, the first AP poll they were first. But right now, I think those teams played head to head. I don't really research and see what a spread would be on a neutral site, but Georgia's winning that game if they played in Atlanta today. Georgia's
Who? Between
definitely
who?
winning that game. What'd you say?
Between Georgia and who?
Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
And
It's just
I don't even think it's close, to be quite honest. And I'm an Alabama fan. Like that looked
you
very
just don't
different.
do that. Especially coming out first game of the season too, like, and you look like that.
Hmm.
I mean, it was um it was very, very impressive, especially for a team that just won a national title. Because that tells me that you didn't come out, feeling like, hey, we're the defending national champions. That, like you said, Des, they look like they were on a mission, and that's dangerous, man. If you have high caliber talent and you're locked in too, I feel bad for anybody on their schedule. So, and I just do, man. So look, I'm not even gonna think about that. I,
Well, no need. We've got
I
it's
know.
early
I'm just saying.
September, right? We don't we're that's not gonna happen until what? Maybe the New Year's Eve. When are did the playoff dates get announced? It probably.
I'm not sure, dude.
College
I
football.
think, and I know there are plenty of Ohio State fans here as well. Look, I think for both our teams, none of us, even though our teams are different, our strengths and weaknesses are different. None of us want to deal with Georgia today. Just saying, we don't.
Like I said, I'm an
Um,
Alabama fan, and we
you
don't
don't
want to
even
deal
want to
with
deal with
Georgia.
Georgia.
Not
No, no
today.
one
I'm
wants to
like,
touch
man, I
them.
hope they slip
So
up in the
it's
mess around, give us a loss. Oh man,
man,
like
it's just,
yeah.
and look, you have teams like that every now and then. Where you're like, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot,
Hmm.
man. And so, you just,
And yeah, it looks like both our CFP games are New Year's Eve. We've
yeah.
got
And I think, and Dave,
4 and
yeah,
8.
right. And Dave has a good approach here. Next game is the only one you can win this season,
Oh,
right? And it's the truth.
yeah,
And
that's
and and
right.
and that's the approach that Michigan has to have. And but also, Des, what I think that stuck out, and we talked about it during a post game show, is that you want to see guys who didn't have a huge Didn't say he didn't have any impact. A huge impact last year. Show signs that maybe they can take a step forward this year. Romeo Wilson being one of those guys. Now he definitely made plays last year, but maybe he could be an even bigger playmaker this year. Seeing Mike Sanders still not playing in nickelback position. Can he be a difference maker on defense? Anoma, that flash sack he had. And I Mac and uh gosh, help me with I always mess up his name. Max
Mozzie Smith.
Monty Smith, on a local radio show, he was being interviewed and he was asked about Anoma. And he said, "Man, it's like the care pack. He was like a care package being dropped off. Like they just dropped him off here. He said, you don't get guys like that very often, and that he's a beast. And we saw that, right? And so, that's if he is like he just got here. So, like, imagine he continues to get comfortable if he can really be that true difference maker for this team. Seeing just guys continue to step up here and there, man. It's a positive sign because you're gonna need it. DJ Turner, taking a step forward, right? So that's also been a really good thing to see versus Colorado State last week was that you saw some guys names in headlines that you didn't necessarily see last year.
Yeah. And we were talking about the QB competition, and I think Let's Toast Media had put it in the chat, basically saying that a decision shouldn't be made at quarterback based off of playing Hawaii. What are your thoughts on that?
Say that one more time for me.
So basically what he's saying is that because Hawaii is so bad that no decision should be made based off of how someone plays against Hawaii. What do you think about that?
I think that's fair. I mean, if the Hawaii game is like a true, how can I put it, true tryout for JJ, then yeah, I don't think it's going to be a fair evaluation for either guy. It won't be fair to evaluate JJ, based on is he really ready for this? Because that's just like playing it's like a varsity going to not even scrimmage a JV team. It's going like a varsity team going to scrimmage a freshman team. That sounds really disrespectful, but I'm just being honest. Like, it's like that's how bad Hawaii is compared to Michigan. So like, no, it probably shouldn't be made based on Hawaii alone.
Do you think it will be? Do you think a decision will be made off?
Yeah, man. I think at the end of the day, I just think that this is just the keys are being turned over to JJ. I really don't see this going back and forth for another 2 weeks. I think that the momentum has been going towards this way, and especially if JJ comes out there and he doesn't have any negative plays, right? He doesn't have a turnover, right? And with just the momentum, I think it probably will, but based on what they're positioning, how they position these two games to be, I don't think it should have been made like that. And to be honest, like I think you knew probably based on practice who the guy really should be, but you kind of wanted to wanted to give. I think this is more about giving Cade every opportunity to keep his job than it was giving JJ every opportunity to take the job. I think that's what this has been about, me personally.
Here's the thing. The only thing that I do not want is this 2 quarterback system moving forward. Like, right. Just and regard and they Let's Toast Media might be correct. A decision shouldn't be made based off how bad Hawaii was, but nonetheless, Jim Harbaugh made the stipulations on what how he wants to evaluate the quarterback decision. So this is what he laid out. And I'm expecting JJ to play well, and I just like, wouldn't it be nice for the only thing that you hear, the talking heads talking about, shows like ours and just other shows talking about, is just how freaking good Michigan is versus, well, who's gonna start? Like, who's gonna do, like, you know what I mean? I'm kind of over that. Like, this should be the end of the road of the 2 quarterback system. Let's do what I think all of the coaches know and want to do. Let's make JJ the starter after Hawaii. Announce it on Monday. Whatever you want to do, and let's just move forward. Like, let's not keep on with the back and forth. I just that's my only thing. Like Harbaugh's got it is absolutely his right to handle it however he'd like. But I would just like to be over this. Quite frankly, I would like to.
Yeah, and I think it's just, you know what, it is your job as a head coach, and essentially you are the CEO of this program. You know, sometimes you have to make decisions that everyone's not going to be on board with right away. That there are going to be questions. There's going to be certain kind of concerns, apprehensions before, you know, going forward, and you just have to put your foot down and say, "Hey, look, this is what we're doing. This is the route we're going, and it's going to work." And deal with the fallout from that. And obviously, Cade was named the team captain by his teammates, but that shouldn't matter if you're Jim Harbaugh. You need to make the best decision based on your evaluation in practice and in games. And if your evaluation is that, you know what, with you and your staff, that, you know what, Cade can't get us this far, but JJ can get us that far, then, you know, then you have to do what you have to do, and go forward. And if, you know, there's a certain, you know, if there's certain fractures in the locker room, it's up to you to fix that and to figure and get guys on board. It'll be up to JJ to win certain guys over if that was the case. Not saying it will be. And one thing that he's not here this week, at least he hasn't made a comment. Our good buddy, what was it, D Smith? What's the guy? What's our buddy that tunes in every week that goes back and forth with us? Guys, help me out here. He wasn't here this week. I can't recall his name. You guys, anyway, one of our subscribers who's here every week, you know, was like, hey, you know, this culture, this team is that everyone loves each other and they're pulling for each other, and it's the best chemistry I've seen in this program in a long time. Well, if it is good as that, some of you people, D Brown, thank you. If it's as good as D Brown has said it, that he believes it is, then picking JJ to go forward, no matter K being a team captain, shouldn't matter. Because guys should be able to rally around him and go forward. So I'm with you, Des. I just want to kind of get this over with. And the only thing that we're discussing is what the team did the previous week and what they're doing is what they need to do this upcoming week, you know?
Yeah, and the point with Cade being named team captain, like that doesn't change just because you're not the starting quarterback. Like you know what I mean? Like you're
Right.
still the team captain.
Yeah.
That doesn't change anything moving forward. So I think JJ will play well on Saturday, and I think the result of it will be him being the named QB1, or at least I hope that's the result and what happens because, like I said, kind of just ready for it to be done, and to me for JJ to get all of the ones reps because that's a part that gets missed sometimes is that when you're going through like this week, I would assume that either number one, JJ is getting all the ones reps, which means last week he got none of the ones reps, or he's getting half of the ones reps, which means he's getting half of the reps in practice that a typical number one quarterback would get. So I would like him to get as many reps with the ones as he can. So this back and forth and two quarterback thing, like it to me, it takes away from the practice time of getting more chemistry with Ronnie Bell and Cornelius Johnson and Eric All and Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. So that's where I'm at with it, and just like I said, want this to be over.
I don't know if Ed was trying to be positive or he was taking a shot, but oh, that is funny.
Oh wow, Cade can still pick heads or tails. All right,
Jeez.
I just want like, and Ed's not like taking a shot
That's
or
what I'm saying.
anything,
Like
but
he seems to always be like a steady Eddie kind of hits at Ed, but
steady Eddie. There you go.
geez,
No, but it's. I mean,
you
it's
can. That is true.
he's in a tough spot. Cade's in a tough spot. The writing's on the wall. It's like the job is JJ's. As
He
long as
won't be
JJ
calling
doesn't have a
pass.
meltdown, I think he'll
Look,
be just fine.
he won't be calling audibles and pass protections, but he will be calling heads or tail. Oh God. Oh,
Yeah. So
it's
we
okay.
should be good. Yeah. So we are what we've got. So Saturday is an 8 p.m. kickoff, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be
A late
here
one.
11 11:30, 12ish,
Probably get
whenever.
started a little earlier. That based on how the game's going to go, we're probably going to get started that one pretty early before it actually ends. Just to
Yeah,
give you guys a
it
heads
might
up.
be a longer show where we get on just a little earlier because yeah, it's gonna be yeah, and maybe we will be the ones to announce that JJ is gonna be the starting quarterback where he's just on lighting it up. And it's like, hey man, it's gonna
Dude, we're
be
gonna have. I have a feel
good.
we're gonna have to be taming people now. Gonna be a lot of people all sauced up and very very excited. After that game, we're gonna have to tame people's excitement. Say, hey guys, look, this looks awesome. Because like as I said in a post game show, dude. Now look, it could be a huge disappointment in terms of the play calling and because how much easy they're gonna be able to run the football. It could be boring as all crap, and we're just handing the football off 50 times and just you know Jim Harbaugh this thing up a little bit, or it could be how I think it will be, in which I think we're potentially gonna see plays that we haven't seen, and it's gonna be creative and fun, and we're gonna be like, what in the world is this? And we're gonna be like, where has this been? So I much rather have that kind of show where we're like, man, they really opened up the playbook now that and unleashed JJ, right? So
You
hey,
think that's gonna happen though?
knowing Jim Harbaugh, probably not, but I'm going to hold out hope that it is.
Now, it doesn't mean that explosive plays won't happen because I think those just will naturally happen. But
Right.
yeah, I'm not expecting anything, big. Jim's he's
No Donovan
overall
Edwards
been a
halfback
nah,
passes
nah,
like the Big Ten title game.
nah,
Oh,
nope. You're not gonna see that. So I just want to just calm your enthusiasm right now, curb it. That's not gonna happen. Now you might see some. I think you will see some big plays, but it's not gonna be,
no, I don't want a big play
drawn
just
up
because we're
some.
that much better. Like I want to see like just like cool stuff, man. Like like halfback passes, flea
Why
flickers.
though? Why?
Because the whole point of JJ taking over is not just is to win for one, but it's also to be more dynamic. Let's go. Let's open
Yeah,
this
but now it's
playbook up,
trick
baby.
play. Someone else throwing the ball. Like wouldn't you rather
Okay, that
JJ
was
throw
just
the
an
ball?
example, Des. I just want to be fun. I want to have fun. I want to be like, man, like in a Notre Dame Ohio State game, and it happens sometimes. Certain offices do certain plays, and the cameraman gets fooled. Like the camera's over here, but the play's to the left. I want the cameraman to be fooled based on all the misdirection happening in the backfield.
No,
Forget. Don't show too much.
that's not going to happen.
I know it
Because
won't, but
Jim
let me
would be.
dream.
This isn't, Ohio State. I think he was willing to get that last touchdown and really rub it in Ohio State's face. But in general, that's not him. That's not what he
I
does.
know.
Now, Lane Kiffin absolutely would be that person
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah.
Because
I know.
he's he likes to really, really turn it up. But that's just not how Harbaugh operates. He's a real, respectful guy and all that good stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, but
you can just forget about
respectful in the
that.
second half. I'm cool with that. Let's split the difference. Let's get respectful in the second half. But in the first half, let's open it up, baby. That's all I gotta
Now,
say.
save
Okay.
that for your playoff game. Save that for Ohio State. Save that for the Big Ten championship game. There's no need to waste something like that this week. No need at all. Don't do it.
Fine.
So just I want to relax you a little bit because that's not going to happen. Also, too, before you guys leave, please give us a thumbs up on your way out. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, we will be here Saturday, maybe after halftime. We shall see. But we will be. Make sure you just turn on the notifications because I'll make sure we get the reminder up early. So as soon as we go live, you'll get an email, I think, or message if you're on YouTube. So appreciate you guys tuning in. And that is it for us.
See ya.
Peace.